Hello and welcome to Wednesday Debate Live with Taghreed Hussein here on Nile TV International. Well, tonight we'll be talking about Egypt's steadfast stand and from the heart of a turbulent region. As we all know, Egypt has long stood as a pillar of balance, bridging divides and containing all sorts of escalation and also pursuing peace across the whole Middle East region. Today, and as Gaza bleeds beneath the weight of the Iran war, and also amidst international silence, Cairo's voice remains unwavering. Under the clear directives of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Egypt has pressed forward on every front, and among them the diplomatic, humanitarian and political front, in order to hold the war on Gaza, to deliver aid and to prevent the forced displacement of the Palestinians. Egypt provides Gaza with thousands of aid trucks, a stark symbol of both commitment and obstruction, as Egypt insists that Gaza will not be abandoned, nor will its people be uprooted. From brokering the ceasefires to the coordinating prisoner exchanges, Egypt's role has always been there, reactive. It is central. Historic ties to Palestine remain, and as affirmed by the different official statements and attention, also Egypt's mediation through hosting key summits is underscoring once again its indispensable role as a regional stabilizer. Yet as headlines drift towards broader regional tensions and as we see the developments from Washington, from Tehran, from the global markets, Gaza risks becoming a tragedy unfolding in the market. Well, tonight, along with our very distinctive guest, I have all the honor of and pleasure of hosting Her Excellency, our very distinctive diplomat, Her Excellency Ambassador Moshira Khattab, who is the former Minister of Family and Population, and our veteran diplomat, who has been the great image of Egypt serving around the world. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, together we'll be reading how the world is going to move on. And while Gaza remains trapped in a relentless crisis and in silence, who still speaks for accountability if not Egypt? Let's first have a look at the top stories of the day. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi convened senior defense and military production officials meeting to review progress in Egypt's defense industries and outline a forward-looking modernization strategy. The president had underscored the pivotal role of military production companies in meeting the armed forces' evolving needs, while directing a significant expansion of local manufacturing capability. The president emphasized attracting both domestic and foreign investment, hence forging strategic partnerships with leading global firms and accelerating the integration of artificial intelligence and advanced technologies. He also called for sustained investment in human capital, enhanced digital infrastructure amid the strict adherence to quality and safety standards to boost efficiency and support national economic growth. And during a high-profile diplomatic visit to Washington, D.C., Foreign Minister Dr. Badr Abdelati had projected Egypt's growing regional and international influence through a carefully sequenced series of strategic engagements. The visit opened with a significant meeting on Tuesday, April the 14th at the U.S. House of Representatives, where Abdelati met with the House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, underscoring the depth of the Egypt-U.S. strategic partnership and Cairo's pivotal role in advancing peace, de-escalation and regional stability. On Wednesday, the minister expanded Egypt's diplomatic outreach through several influential platforms across the U.S. Capitol, at the World Bank headquarters, during a session led by Managing Director Anna Badi, and he also outlined the global economic repercussions of military escalation in the region, while emphasizing the resilience of Egypt's economy through structural and monetary reforms. Abdelati then joined the roundtable at the Middle East Institute, where he detailed Egypt's principal positions on Gaza and more. The diplomatic momentum continued at the Atlantic Council in a session that was titled Egypt in a Turbulent Middle East, where Egypt's top diplomat highlighted Cairo's active diplomacy in reducing tensions. Together, these engagements presented a compelling portrait of Egypt as a stabilizing force, as a trusted mediator, and an increasingly indispensable strategic partner in a rapidly shifting region. And on more, Egypt's unwavering support for Gaza and Egypt's unyielding commitment to Gaza, all the efforts exerted. The following report highlights those efforts, and we'll be back.
From the very outset of the Gaza crisis, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi set a clear and unwavering course. Egypt will stand firmly by the Palestinian people, politically, diplomatically, and humanitarianly, without compromise or hesitation. His directives have been consistent and resolute, rejecting the forced displacement of Palestinians, intensifying efforts to deliver aid, and pushing relentlessly for an immediate ceasefire and a just political solution. On the ground, this commitment translates into one of the largest and most sustained humanitarian operations in the region. Beyond official state efforts, Egypt's support for Gaza extends deep into society itself. The Zaid al-Izza initiative stands as a powerful symbol of the national solidarity, mobilizing civilians, institutions, and charities to contribute food, medical supplies, and essential aid. It is not merely a campaign, but a reflection of a deeply rooted Egyptian conviction as well, that supporting Gaza is both a humanitarian duty and a matter of dignity. Through Zaid al-Izza, the Egyptian people have transformed compassion into action, reinforcing the state's efforts with an unmistakable message. Gaza is not facing this alone. Egypt's role goes far beyond aid delivery. Cairo has opened its doors to wounded Palestinians, facilitating medical evacuations and treatment in Egyptian hospitals, even amid security and logistical constraints at the Rafah crossing. At the same time, Egypt has remained steadfast in rejecting any scenario that would see Palestinians displaced from their land, framing it not only as a humanitarian imperative, but as a defense of the Palestinian cause itself. Diplomatically, Egypt continues to operate at the very heart of regional efforts to contain the crisis. Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati has been actively engaging with international partners, including high-level talks in Washington and beyond, to coordinate positions, advance ceasefire efforts, and ensure that Gaza remains central in global discussions. Equally important is Egypt's political stance, a firm commitment to the two-state solution and the restoration of Palestinian rights, consistently emphasized by President el-Sisi and the Egyptian government in international forums. In a world increasingly distracted by geopolitical tensions, Egypt's approach regarding Gaza stands out for its continuity. Whether through aid convoys, diplomatic channels working behind the scenes, or firm political red lines, Cairo's message remains unmistakable. Egypt's support to Gaza is unwavering.
Welcome back, and once again, a very warm welcome to Her Excellency Ambassador Moshira Khattab. Ambassador, the President has always made it clear in his statements, rejecting any sort of forced displacements to the Palestinians, preserving their dignity and pride, and this has been quite crystal clear from the very beginning.
Yes, since the onset of the war on the Palestinian people, the Egyptian support to the human rights of the Palestinian people or the people of Palestine has been unwavering. Egypt has demonstrated its full abidance by the international human rights law and the international humanitarian law. And what really happens, and the innocent victims who lost their lives or were injured, they were deliberately attacked. We've seen how the civilians were targeted by the attacks. And this is really a clear violation of human rights law and the humanitarian law.
Yes, and we've seen during his visit to Washington, D.C., Egypt's top diplomat, Dr. Badr Abdelati, had outlined in his meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State how to coordinate in order to find a way out for those regional challenges. And this, once again, Egypt's diplomatic engagement is once again asserting the important role that Egypt is playing as a protectionist of the right of the Palestinian people. And this, of course, sense of coordination with Washington can have a tangible pressure in order to once again contain the tensions in Gaza.
As we have seen from the introduction that you've eloquently made, Egypt is working on multiple fronts. While we're consolidating our military capabilities, we're working for peace. And since the beginning of the war on the Palestinian people, Egypt was the biggest and is the biggest donor of humanitarian and food aid to the people of Palestine. And as we have seen from the activities of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Badr Abdelati, Egypt is exercising diplomacy for encouraging key partners to sponsor and support restoring peace for the sake of the Palestinian people. We've seen many children who've lost their lives and were injured as a result of the attacks that they were targeted.
Yes, sustained efforts actually by Egypt, Minister Khattab, so to speak, concerning Egypt's diplomatic leadership that really helped throughout the way to contain the situation in Gaza. We've seen meetings, we've seen, of course, interventions in order to achieve a ceasefire, and we've seen a balanced diplomacy that is all the way through has been out of respect, of course, and admiration for the whole world.
Well, it is quite clear that the Egyptian policy, the Egyptian attitude is a key pillar to restoring peace and order in this very troubled region. Actually, we're living a very difficult time. It's a testing time, be it on the international scene or at the regional scene. And Egypt has been working on multiple fronts to restore peace and protect civilians from attacks. We've seen hospitals in Palestine that were targeted, incubators for children that were deprived of electricity, and these are all really atrocities against civilians. Clear, determined violation of human rights.
Right. Also being with think tanks, His Excellency Minister Abdelati, and with congressional leaders in D.C., revealing, of course, more about Egypt's diplomatic doctrine that has been respected worldwide, and presenting Cairo as a stabilizing framework rooted in dialogue and achieving strategic balance. How do you see such meetings actually contributing?
It is critical that they hear us. They don't hear about us, because you know, media can manipulate realities. You can focus on certain aspects and glide over other aspects. So media always has a message, be it with or against, and they must hear from us. And the unwavering efforts of Minister Badr Abdelati is very important to explain not only to the U.S. but also to Europe.
Yes.
And Europe has been a strong ally, really. We've seen countries like Italy. They've really taken very good steps. Italy has frozen the military cooperation agreement with Israel. And this is a signal, a very clear signal, that the Italian Prime Minister and the Italian government is not happy with the behavior or the policy of Israel against civilians in Palestine.
Right. During a high-profile discussion at the Atlantic Council, Foreign Minister Abdelati had outlined Egypt's stabilizing role across actually multiple fronts. So Egypt's role as a stabilizing force in the region. And we can find what we call in diplomacy the multi-layered engagement.
Yes.
We're talking Gaza, Sudan, and also the Horn of Africa. So Egypt is working on more than one front.
Yes, as I said, it's a very troubled world, be it on the international scene or the regional. Internationally, we've seen problems in a number of countries, and in our part of the world, we have in Sudan we have problems, in Palestine we have problems. It is a very testing time, but Egypt has systematically been the power for peace, and at the same time we are building and fostering our military capabilities. So you're working on two important prongs, working for peace and consolidating your military power. It's a very important signal and message to the entire world.
Definitely a very important signal and message to the entire world. And another important message to the entire world is the humanitarian power as well.
This was since day one. We've seen after the war on October 7, war on the Palestinian people, Egypt was the first to give humanitarian aid, and we gave the biggest humanitarian aid. And we've also seen during Ramadan, Egypt made the longest iftar table for the Palestinian people who were evicted from their homes. They were forcibly evicted from their homes. And this is again a huge violation of human rights. And we've seen people without shelter.
Yeah, the Red Crescent, the Egyptian Red Crescent continues to mobilize one of the region's largest humanitarian responses, the Zaid al-Aiza convoy that has actually helped with tens of thousands of tons of aid. And this has been actually remarkable as part of Egypt's humanitarian operations and redefining the standard even of aid delivery to Gaza. How do you see Zaid al-Aiza? Even the name itself is very meaningful.
Yes, al-Aiza is dignity, or and again, dignity is the core or the origin of human rights. So really the Egyptian position has been remarkable, working on multiple fronts, and we're not exactly that rich. However, we're the biggest donors, and we defend the rights of the Palestinian people, be it at the United Nations or in the shuttle diplomacy exercised by His Excellency the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Badr Abdelati. It's very important to explain to our partners, be it in the US or in the European Union, how the Palestinian people are suffering.
Yes, always when we find hard power, we find in parallel also soft power that has a very important role to play. It's a very important tool. We would find the Palestinians in the streets singing songs in admiration and in appreciation of the Egyptian role in supporting their cause. And this is actually highlighting Cairo's far-reach impact and unwavering support for Gaza. It has been very touching. We'll be watching right after this and right after taking your opinion, a clip of this sense of admiration, this sense of human message that is really very powerful and shows and reflects also the role of soft power in many crises.
Yes, it is soft power, but also Egypt has won the respect of key stakeholders in the ongoing wars in the different parts of the world. The Egyptian position has always been very well composed and, how can I say, honest believer in peace and the rights of innocent civilians and the respect for international law, because We cannot go violating human rights of innocent people. No, there are, I mean, people must be held accountable for the violation of such human rights. We've seen on television children dying in incubators because electricity was turned off. This is really appalling. And Egypt has been the most solid defender of the rights of innocent civilians in Palestine.
Yes. During the Iran war, we've seen the Iran stories actually making reflections and also affecting energy markets, affecting wider conflict risks, but also still Gaza receives diminishing attention. It's not diminishing attention because it's always there despite, of course, the worsening conditions that we see in Gaza. And as Her Excellency has mentioned that Egypt has always been after the preserving the dignity of the Palestinian people. This has been reflected in Zaid al-Izza and more. Let's watch the beauty of the Palestinians singing in tribute to Egypt, how the Palestinian streets has been transformed, its appreciation for Egypt's steadfast support for Gaza, and in gratitude for Egypt's solidarity with the Palestinian cause. Let's watch. So, Your Excellency, this is how they expressed admiration for Egypt, the young Palestinians, especially the young.
Well, it's not only admiration, but also respect. Really, the situation is extremely tense, not only in our part of the world, but globally is extremely tense. However, the Egyptian position is very solid. It is principled and very solid. And you are working on two prongs, enhancing your military power and being a messenger for peace. And really, the world needs peace. We've seen the pressure on the energy prices, and this has pushed inflation and pushed prices for many countries who really cannot afford this. So for economic reasons, for political reasons, for human rights reasons, we must bring peace. And any crazy ideas in the minds of some politicians to take over what doesn't belong to them must be stopped. And we have the United Nations. And the United Nations and Mr. Guterres is making a huge effort to maintain international peace and security as the Charter of the United Nations call for. So we must support the United Nations. Any action to be taken anywhere in the world where there are disputes or wars must be according to the Charter of the United Nations. And if we don't uphold our multilateralism, the world will be a jungle. And nobody, really nobody, will be able to pay the price, because the price will be hell will break loose. So there is a common interest to be wise, and we've seen how Egypt demonstrated. And really, let me raise our hat for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, how he maintained a very solid, strong, dignified, human rights-based position when he invited the global leaders to come and meet in Egypt, they all came, all of them, including Mr. Trump, who is really siding with Israel in its action against the Palestinian people. And this is not fair, because the United States is the strongest country, is a permanent member of the Security Council, and permanent members of the Security Council have the veto power, which puts on them, or on their shoulders, the responsibility to be pivotal in maintaining international peace and order, not to side with aggressors, really. So we hope that, because the problem in Palestine feeds the war with Iran and the Hormuz Strait, and the blockage of international navigation, and this is another right, free flow of trade, because trade carries, the food and medication. It must be free. We've seen what's happening in the Hormuz Strait, and it's costing money, and it's costing peace, and it's costing lives. What's happening against the Lebanese people is closely linked with what happens in Iran. We must not lose sight of the fact that the world now has become a global village. With the technology, it's a global village. What happens in a corner resonates or causes havoc in another part that we may think is not related, but they are closely related. Look at Lebanon, look at Hormuz, look at Iran. Really, it's terrible.
Egypt's management, Ambassador, of the Rafah crossing and being open with the Rafah crossing has always been open despite the repeated destruction. What does this signify?
Well, this is really a testimonial of the Egyptian wisdom. The pressures are very high. However, like I said, Egypt has maintained a solid, principled position. It taxed on our energy, our resources, our manpower, our financial and human resources. However, we really managed very, very well, and we must salute men and women who took care of this crossing, because if it were not for the Egyptians' solid position and generosity, we wouldn't be there. We would be in a different place.
Yes, beyond war and beyond diplomacy and humanitarian suffering, maybe the Palestinian cause might be entering a very dangerous spot meantime, and the time factor actually is playing a very important role in that respect.
Well, really, the war on the people of Palestine has a far-reaching impact on the mandate of the United Nations, the mandate of international law, be it international humanitarian law or international human rights law. It is affecting everybody, and we must hold tight to implement the Charter of the United Nations. And Israel cannot be the naughty kid on the block and does whatever they want to do. No, we must all abide by international law and international humanitarian law. Civilians have human rights under international humanitarian laws, but we've seen how civilian locations were targeted, deliberately targeted. We've seen how many children were killed and how many thousands were wounded as a result of bombarding civilians. This is atrocities. Really, it's a war crime.
Yes. What message does this scene that we have already witnessed and would signal messages to Israel?
One important message really I would like to underline is the wisdom that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has exercised in shaping the Egyptian stand vis-a-vis what's going on. And we've really earned the respect of the global community. We've hosted meetings that were very well attended, and many resources Egypt has given are very, very, how can I say?
Precious.
Very precious. However, we gave, and we will continue to give. What I really like is the sight of Egyptian people behind their president, all one front.
One family.
All one family, all one front. It's a very solid front against aggression, against occupation, against violation of human rights. And President Sisi can only do this because he knows that the Egyptian people are behind him. So while you're working internationally, your internal front is very solid, or internal, how can I say? You don't like front, it seems. I have to look for another term. But really, internally, we support the decisions of the leadership with regards to the ongoing conflicts, and there are many. I mean, in Europe, in Africa, in the Arab world, it's a very difficult time. It's a troubled time, really. And we need wisdom, and we need people to use the United Nations. Nobody has the legitimate right to intervene, be it according to Chapter 6 of the United Nations Charter or Chapter 7. We have to respect the international organization that we've established to stop the atrocities that we've seen during the Second World War. We don't want to revert again to a world war. And it doesn't look very, very stable right now at the global scene. Really, we have to abide by international law, and we have to respect the independence, and we have to respect the rights of the Palestinian people. The Palestinian cause is the oldest since 1948. And we have to remember that the Security Council of the United Nations has failed to honor its commitment to the Palestinian people, because we have a decision by a resolution by the UN General Assembly. But this resolution by the UN, the division, we call it Qarar al-Taqsim, the UN Security Council issued a resolution for the Hebrew state and not for the Arab state. So the Palestinians, they deserve to live in their own state, full-fledged state, enjoying all the mandate that enables it to cater for the rights of its civilians, of its people, women, children, men, old, young, and this is a shame if we discriminate in guaranteeing rights of the people.
Right, and this is, as Your Excellency has just mentioned, concerning out of wisdom that Egypt has exercised, that Egypt has never wavered vis-a-vis the historic commitment to the Palestinian cause, despite the turbulences that we have seen in the whole region. And Cairo's central role in the Palestinian cause has always been there. Cairo's diplomacy, Ambassador, as you see it regionally, and contributing to the regional de-escalation.
Well, Egypt, by virtue of its geographic location, has multiple hats. We are an Arab country, we are an African country, we are Middle East, we are Islamic, and Egypt is very active on all these fronts. And this really takes its toll on its diplomacy or diplomats, but we're doing it very well, really. And let's see, or let's look how Egypt acted when Egypt chaired the African Union. Really, Egypt is a big, important peacekeeper. Can I say
regional stabilizer?
Regional stabilizer actor, like you say. And the role of Egypt is appreciated by many stakeholders. Egypt is a country that never intervenes in the internal affairs of other countries. Egypt always defends the rights of its own people and the rights of its neighbors and sisters and brothers, like the Palestinian people, who have seen horrible, horrible wars, unjustified, and they are still yearning to live in their own independent states. The United Nations General Assembly took a resolution to admit the Palestinian state as a member of the United Nations. And we say it will be a full-fledged member of the United Nations. A country seeking peace, seeking prosperity of its people, because if the Palestinian people don't enjoy their rights, there will be no peace. There will be no peace. Children who see their parents killed or injured, they will have very
traumatic.
It will be traumatic
for them.
Future. You never know whether they want to revenge, whether they will be more hostile. We have to encourage people, and we have to make people believe that through law, through the rule of law, be it internal law or international law, people can have peace and security, sustainable peace and security.
Yeah. The unresolved Gaza cause is considered to be the reason behind any sort of stability in the whole region, right?
Well, I don't really, allow me to say I don't want to focus on Gaza. I want to focus on Palestine as a whole, because Gaza is part of Palestine. And Palestine it's a biblical place. It has value for Muslims, for Christians, for Jews. And we have seen, speaking about Egypt, only 2 days ago we were at the cathedral in Abbasiyah, and we've seen the prayers for the resurrection, Eid al-Qiyamah. This is Egypt, a country, a defender of peace, and a country that goes by the law.
Yeah, this is Egypt. God bless Egypt, and always long live Egypt. تحيا مصر. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Moshira Khattab, our veteran diplomat, the bright face of Egypt all over the world.
Thank you.
And the former Minister, of course, of Family and Population. Thank you so much, Excellency.
Thank you for hosting me. وتحيا مصر. Long live Egypt.
Long live Egypt,
and the Egyptian
always.
people.
Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Shukran.
And I thank you, dear viewers, for joining us. That was Wednesday Debate Live, and I'm Taghrit Hussein. Many thanks for watching.